Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Health Bar. We are continuing our discussions on vitamins, and today we'll be talking about a very important vitamin. And इसकी importance जो है COVID times में we have seen it all the more. Today we'll be discussing vitamin D in detail. But before we do that, I would request Anita ji is not. I can't see her, so.
Hello.
Kamji. Yes,
Yeah,
Kamji.
I'll do.
Yes.
Today I'm going.
So I would request Kamji ji to please conduct the morning prayer.
So I'm going to say two shlokas of Anjaneya. Buddhir balam yashodhairyam nirbhayatvam arogata ajadyam vakpatutvancha hanumat smaranat bhavet Ramaskandam Hanumantam Vainateyam Vrukodaram Seneha Smare Nityam Duswapnatasya Nashati.
Thank you, Amriji, for that lovely quick prayer. Excuse me. So we'll start off our discussion on vitamin D. So I'm going to break this up into 3 sessions. Today would be the first of 3 sessions today. So we'll have this discussion, and I'm going to just start right now. Just give me a second. Let me just. So vitamin D, जैसा मैंने बोला, vitamin D जो COVID times में we've seen more of its role supplement as well. So vitamin D, जैसा मैंने आपको बोला, vitamin D supplementation for COVID. उसका जो supplementation है, ये एक this is not a cure, but only just exactly what this word is, supplementation. ये सिर्फ help करता है, and in a lot of diseases, in fact, in viral illnesses especially, it can help as an immune booster. So let's talk about the problem. More than 90% of Indians, surprisingly, more than 90% of Indians suffer from lack of sufficient vitamin D. And इसका जो average है, आप अगर किसी भी 10 लोग को उठा के देखें तो उसमें से 10 में से 7 या 8 का बहुत extremely low levels आपको around 13 to 15 आपको मिलेंगे. If you have levels less than 20, you will have that is a deficiency. मतलब आप उसमें आपको कमी है उस चीज की. And just one second. So deficiency, can you hear me? So, hello, can you hear me? You're muted, Manji.
Yes,
Okay. So there is a deficiency in the 90% of the people, as I said. अगर 21 to 29 तक अगर levels होते हैं, this is an insufficiency. मतलब vitamin D मोटा मोटी है, but it is not sufficient for the normal processes of the body to go on. And अगर 30 से ऊपर होती है, then this is called a sufficiency, meaning it is sufficiently present. And toxicity होती है अगर 150 के ऊपर चली जाए. Toxicity, again, not very common, but deficiency is very, very common in our country. So it is not just a vitamin. It is पहले इसको समझते थे कि rickets को prevent करने के लिए हम इसको लेते हैं, लेकिन it is not just that. It is a very powerful nuclear receptor activating hormone. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin, इसको एक hormone भी हम मान सकते हैं, and it is of critical importance, especially to the immune system. This is what I was trying to explain. This is what I was trying to explain, that ये सिर्फ एक vitamin, it's not for your bones, or it's not just an ordinary vitamin. This is vitamin D, इसके लिए इसको 3 sessions में हम लेंगे, and its role as an immune booster has come out all the more in the COVID era. So why does the problem exist? Um, in COVID time, especially, we have stayed indoors a lot due to the lockdown, and that's why sunlight has a role. So isko kab lena chahiye? We have to take it at धूप में कब बैठना चाहिए. Dr. KK always used to say that at 8 o'clock for 30 minutes you can be in the sun. That time the sun is not very harsh. दोपहर के time पे the sun is quite harsh, and that's why at that time you shouldn't be trying to because उसमें आपको जो आपको phototoxicity होती है, that can happen at that time. So 8 a.m. का जो sunlight है, that is good for you. So diet में also very less food products contain vitamin D. Phytates and phosphates which are present in a fiber-rich diet can deplete vitamin D stores and increase calcium requirements. So, जो fiber हम खाते हैं, of course, you have to take 25 to 30 grams of fiber every single day. But इसमें जो phytates and phosphates होते हैं, ये हमारी जो vitamin D है, इसको थोड़ा कम करती है. So we have to make sure that vitamin D rich food we have to consume, and if it is required, because I said 90% of us are vitamin D deficient, so we have to take the supplementation. ये एक दवा है जो ये एक supplementation है जिसकी tablet आपको हो सकता है लेनी पड़े. इसका blood test is quite common, so this also that blood test can be done. So melanin absorbs vitamin D. So इसको डार्क स्किन जो है इसमें विटामिन डी जो है ये अब्सॉर्ब होता है, and that is the reason why well, I wouldn't say the reason, but yes, in these tropical countries the melanin की जो quantity है वो थोड़ी ज्यादा होती है, and this is the darker skin is because of this melanin. Obesity, so vitamin D जो है it's extracted from the blood by fat cells. So फैट सेल्स जो हैं ये विटामिन डी को अपनी तरफ खींच लेते हैं, और 10 व्हेन दे अपनी तरफ जब फैट सेल्स में इसको खींच लेते हैं ब्लड से, तो जो सर्कुलेशन में जितना विटामिन डी है वो कम हो जाता है. तो यू विल ऑलवेज सी दैट जो विटामिन जो ओबीज इंडिविजुअल्स होते हैं जिनका बीएमआई ज्यादा होता है, उनमें आपको लो लेवल्स ऑफ विटामिन डी दिखेंगे, बिकॉज उनके फैट सेल्स ने ब्लड से उन्होंने विटामिन डी निकाल लिया है. Pollution can hamper the synthesis of vitamin D in the skin by UV rays. So pollution can interfere with your vitamin D absorption. So these are some other groups that will be at risk for developing vitamin D deficiency. The elderly individuals, liver disorders जिनको हैं, liver की problem है, जिनको kidney की problems हैं, and जिनको GI disorders हैं. So these liver, kidney and GI are important for vitamin D metabolism. तो अगर यहाँ पे कहीं परेशानी होगी तो आपके vitamin D के levels जो हैं वो low होगी, and आपकी infection को fight करने की क्षमता जो है वो कम होगी इससे. So several papers on vitamin D and pollution interfering with the absorption. So air pollution is depriving Delhi of vitamin D. So those times of the year when we have really hazardous pollution levels, at that time अगर testing कराएं तो हमारी vitamin D की जो values हैं वो और ज़्यादा deplete हो जाती हैं. So जैसा मैंने बताया, the liver and kidney are important. So there is a two-step process. जब भी आप vitamin D को consume करते हैं, उसके बाद में there are two processes, the one that goes on in the liver and one that goes on in the kidneys. And ये दो processes के बाद में ही जो एक product आता है, that is the vitamin D that can be used by the body. इसके पहले the body cannot use it. So if you have a problem with the liver or a problem with the kidney, then your vitamin D absorption will be delayed. So as I said, excess of anything is bad. ये हमने बहुत बार इस concept को हमने discuss किया है. It is important to take the correct dose of vitamin D. We will be discussing that in the future sessions. We've discussed this. We've discussed how vitamin D के जो levels हैं, it helps to maintain. So ये आपको सबको already पता है. Vitamin D and calcium, they go hand in hand. So it helps to maintain the calcium levels in the body. Immunomodulation का इसका जो role है, ये भी हाल में बहुत सामने आया है. And also vitamin D has a good role in maintaining the respiratory epithelium. So these points I'm going to be discussing later, but you just have to all you have to know today is that vitamin D is really important in the immune functions of the body as well. Vitamin D का बहुत जगह रोल देखा गया है in these the innate and adaptive दोनों immunity में ही आपको जो ये TH1 differentiation है हमारे नाइव सेल्स का, ये हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था. So इसमें भी vitamin D का रोल है. And to जो हमने we've discussed this part as well, ये जो TH2 response जो है उसको ये stimulate करता है, and TH1 and TH17 response जो है इसको ये inhibit करता है. We've discussed this earlier in our previous sessions, and we'll discuss this even further in the coming session, in tomorrow's session most likely. So it also does have a microbicidal effect of which means that जो microbes होते हैं इसको मारने में ये सक्षम होता है. It is helpful in killing microbes. So that is the discuss the COVID part of it in the future sessions again. I today so let me just I'll talk about this in the end. टॉक्सिसिटी की अगर हम बात करें, विटामिन डी अगर हम बहुत ज्यादा इसको लेते हैं तो उसकी जो देयर आर सम सो एनोरेक्सिया मीन्स वजन का बहुत ज्यादा कम होना, वेट लॉस होना, इरेगुलर हार्ट बीट. आपकी जो हार्ट बीट है इसमें कहीं पे आपको इरेगुलरिटी दिख सकती है, पैल्पिटेशन हो सकते हैं, स्किप्ड हार्ट बीट कैन बी देयर बिकॉज ऑफ विटामिन डी टॉक्सिसिटी. एंड इसके अलावा जो अगर आपका विटामिन डी बहुत ज्यादा है तो इसके साथ साथ आपका कैल्शियम भी बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा. एंड कैल्शियम अगर बढ़ जाता है तो वो आपको पता है आपके आर्टरीज में इट कैन स्टार्ट डिपॉजिटिंग एंड इट कैन लीड टू problems of the heart and of the kidneys. So that is about the toxicity. Sources अगर हम बात करें तो mushrooms are a very good source of vitamin D. Dark chocolate, eggs, milk, and some cheese and other dairy products. These are the rich sources of vitamin D. Mushrooms, again, I would like to highlight, they have a very good vitamin D concentration. And iske alawa some greens and peas, they are also rich in vitamin D. So as I said, vitamin D बहुत ज़्यादा food products में नहीं आपको मिलता, but so that is why the supplementation is important in people who are deficient. Now, what is the criticism with vitamin D? So this is the criticism for vitamin D in COVID. So sir used to give vitamin D in high doses in COVID, and people used to think of it as a cure. So there is no, this is not the cure really, but there are some conflicts of interest in in prescribing the tests and giving the medicines. But yes, vitamin D supplement अगर deficient है, that documented deficiency है, then you should definitely take the supplementation. So on this note, I will just end the session today. We'll be back tomorrow with another session, and I'll discuss the role as an immune booster for vitamin D, and we'll discuss some more sources of vitamin D and discuss that in detail along with the dosing that is required. We'll